Hey boo hey, welcome back to another video and back to my channel. I posted a two-part very vulnerable video a couple months ago or so about my experience dating a narcissist. And that experience is something that I absolutely do not wish to repeat ever in my life. And it was just very, very hard. Today, I want to kind of continue this healing diaries thing. I don't know if it's going to be a series. I don't know. I'm in the midst still of healing and trying to figure out all the things and what it looks like. And I feel like the world has a certain look of what healing is supposed to look like. And I'm finding that that is not how that goes. I don't know where this video is going. Let me just put that out there. I don't know where this video is going. We're just going to talk. We're going to chill. We're going to just talk about, like this situation and kind of let whatever comes out come out, because sometimes that's just part of healing, right? I will say that this is probably going to be a triggering video. So if you are not, in a place mentally, emotionally where this is something that you'd be able to handle, please feel free to watch any of my other beauty videos, things like that. I would not take that, as you being malicious or, with ill intent or anything like that. We all are at different places in our lives, and sometimes we got to set boundaries that other people may not understand. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Also, with this type of content, if you're going to leave a comment, please be kind. We are all in different places. We are all triggered by different things, and just be, loving on one another. We all are here one breath at a time. We need to begin living like it. So I say all of that. And also I want to say, if you are enjoying this type of content of me just doing life with you and being upfront and honest about what things are looking like for me as I heal, not just from the relationship, but also just from any and all of the trauma that I have dealt with, well, I should say now dealing with, because I didn't deal with it before, then be sure to let me know down below. If this resonates, leave a comment, share, subscribe, all the things. I want to create that community, and yes, I have a subscriber goal, but I also want to just create the community. So we're going to go ahead and get right into it. So like I said, if you haven't watched the other two videos, I strongly encourage you to kind of go back and look at those videos and just get the full story, because there's a lot to it. There's even more that I didn't even put in there, and maybe they'll come out, again, I don't know if this is a series in the future. I don't know how this will work, but just being able to get in front of the camera and talk about something that I feel like is not talked about enough I'm finding that is healing for me. I am finding that it makes me feel better, and it's also going to be really nice that once I continue to heal, that I can look back on this and have really just almost like a diary, I've labeled this healing diaries, and I think that that's really kind of something that it's going to be. I think I mentioned earlier that I'm just trying to figure out what healing means to me and what that looks like for me. And when it comes to healing and the glow up and all of that, there's a lot of ugliness that society has kind of just glossed over and not taken into account. You see these glow ups, and it's these girls leave these men, and they're on the beach, and they're on the yacht, and they're in the gym, and they've lost 70 pounds and all the things. And that is not my particular story. I left that man the beginning of January, and I went downhill. And it wasn't just that man. And I think that that's a part of, for me, my healing that I needed to recognize. I had put and stuffed down so much trauma in my life. So there's just been a lot of things that I have stuffed down and kept moving on from and never really dealt with. And all of those things played into my self-worth. All of those things played into my desire to be here. All of those things have played into how I allow people to treat me and the type of love that I feel I deserve. And this narcissistic young man was just the icing on the cake that embodied everything else that I was feeling and had not dealt with. And that is not to negate what he did, because he still did some low down shit. Also, I'm probably going to cuss in this video, so if you are not into that, please, again, look at one of my other videos, and you know, enjoy and have a good time over there, because this is going to get deep. I have to remind myself that he's going to continue to be that way. One thing that I have learned that has really stuck out to me in this healing journey, because I'm a person of information. I like to know things. I like to know why. I like to know, you know, like I wanted to get all the information. There were those moments where the light bulb finally like started clicking, and I guess I ran into that particular shade of red that I was looking for, that I had ignored all the other red flags previously, and recognized that, you know, true narcissistic behavior begins as early as 7 years old. This man is 35. So he has had narcissistic traits, tendencies, undiagnosed, probably since at least then. You know, maybe give it a couple years, you know, for it to like really get in there. And that's another thing, is that I think the word narcissist we do throw around a lot, when there is a difference between being a narcissist and having narcissistic traits. We all have narcissistic traits. And before you go off and be like, nope, I don't, we all like to have this sense of control over our life, over our jobs, over our kids, over our schooling, over our money, over our spiritual walk, over like whatever it is. That is a bit of a narcissistic trait. You know, like we create these false control mechanisms so that people don't leave. You know, like just like those kind of things. And that's something that I had to learn. I had to learn what a narcissist was. And I think that with all the other trauma that I had come across, sorry, I got swatches, film this look, different video. But from all the other things that I had run into, it was comfortable. It was a comfortable type of relationship, that I had a boyfriend that I knew what to expect from. I knew that one day he would be happy, and I knew that one day he would be angry, and I knew one day that he would want to be controlling, and I knew one day that he would be loving, and like I knew that. I knew what to expect from someone who was physically, even though he didn't hit me, like he never laid a hand on me. He had laid a hand on his ex-fiance. I'm sure that he's laid a hand on other women. We did not, praise the Lord, get that far in our relationship. Emotionally and mentally abusive, I'm familiar with that. That's what I'm comfortable with. That's where I know what to expect. So, you know, I definitely stayed longer than I should have. And part of healing is taking that accountability. That doesn't mean that you take blame. And I'm learning that there's a difference. I still have troubles with that, but I'm beginning to get that down a lot more and not blame myself so much. So if you are like me at all and have not run into the situation, I found this Pinterest post that really kind of sums up like the cycle of trauma bonding, because that's really what it was. Is like I was familiar with it, and because I was familiar in my trauma, I bonded to someone who was able to reinforce that trauma. You know what I mean? So the first one is the idealization stage. In the beginning, the abuser may present themselves as the perfect partner, showering the victim with affection and attention. This creates an intense emotional bond, making it difficult for the victim to see the red flags. I was love bombed. He was absolutely perfect, to the point where I genuinely thought that he was my person. Like, I thought that this young man was the person I was going to spend the rest of my life with. And I ended almost 7 years of celibacy because this was my man. Like, we were boyfriend and girlfriend. We were going to move forward. I had no reason to trust or see that anything was going wrong at this point. Like, we were always together, like, all of the things. Then the devaluation stage. Once the abuser has the victim fully invested in the relationship, they begin to devalue and belittle them. This can come in the form of verbal abuse, gaslighting, or other forms of manipulation. So the gaslighting definitely was there. And again, I was not playing any, like, I wasn't paying any attention to any of that. I didn't have a name for it. I didn't know what it was. I've not run into that level of dysfunction before. And like gaslighting, like the things that he would say would be, you're getting upset over nothing, like you're emotional. Why are you even here if you think I'm so horrible? That was like the last thing. The night that everything ended and I called him out on being a narcissist, that was one of the things that he said. He would tell me that I was remembering things wrong or that's not what he said. He would challenge my loyalty. And I've found that when a narcissist challenges your loyalty, oh, you must be talking to someone else. Why is that guy over there looking at you? Things like that they're projecting. They are the ones that are being unloyal. They are the ones that have something else going on the side. Like, they are the ones that are doing the dirt. Learn that the hard way. And then it says stage 3 is the discard stage. After a period of devaluation, the abuser may discard the victim, leaving them feeling confused and heartbroken. The victim may try to win back the abuser's affection, but the cycle repeats itself. I actually was the one to discard him back in September. And then that's when like the hover stage, which means that he like comes back, he's apologizing, he promises to change, it's a future faking, you know, we're going to be together, I'm going to make this meal for you, you can come over on Friday, you're going to meet my mom, like all these things, right? And then he kind of did the discard stage because between Thanksgiving up into the new year, he was seeing other women. Like, at this point, that's, again, go back and watch the video, but there were at least 5. There were at least 5 of us. I wasn't seeing him. I wasn't really in contact with him, but he was still making the promises. He was still, you know, doing all the things. I was feeling unsafe, and I didn't recognize it at that point. But, again, you learn things as you navigate an abusive relationship. And one of the things that we do in such a mentally and emotionally abusive relationship is that we then are wanting to gain control so we can have that sense of safety. I was becoming the person that was like, I want to see you. I'm coming over tonight. We're going to dinner. That's not me. That has never been me. Like, I am not that demanding. And that's not to say like I don't go after what I want. I am just not that person and that type of woman that forces herself on someone. But I have never been the type of person to be like, we're hanging out, I'm coming over, you know, we're gonna make up, we're gonna, you know, all these things. And when I began to get that unsafe feeling and like I wasn't seeing him, that's exactly what was happening. And that is part of like the abuse cycle. They get off on that. They know that they have you hooked, but at the same time, at least with him, he found it unattractive because then he didn't feel he was in control. So it was like this weird fish hook type of situation. So it just, you know, again, I ignored the flags. I ignored the flags. Once the discard stage, and I can't even say, I mean, it was partially discard, but it also was me stepping up and being like, I'm done. I don't know that he expected it to be over as abruptly as I wanted, as it came to pass. And I didn't either, to be completely honest. I didn't expect any of the things that happened to have happened. I didn't expect for at least 5 women to come out of the woodwork. I didn't expect for him to have 3 phones. I didn't expect for him to be such a liar. I didn't expect, like, I thought I found my person. So those things never crossed my mind. So the next stage is the trauma stage. So you experience the trauma of the abuse and start to question the relationship, which I did. The recognition stage, I start to recognize the pattern of abuse and realize the relationship's not healthy. And then the recovery stage. The victim takes steps to heal and recover from the trauma and may seek out professional help. I feel like I am in all of those stages, and that is something, again, that's not talked about in society. That healing, one, is not linear, but two, it can also be so many different things at the same time. Today you may be grieving, tomorrow you may be angry, today, you may feel, or the next day you may feel alone. Like it all is kind of like one big cluster. And it's not easy to navigate because we want to have one emotion. We want to be able to navigate through that one emotion. And we're not able to because life doesn't work that way. Life has not worked that way for me. Trying to figure out what this healing journey looks like for me has not looked that way. I have had many a days, many of nights where I'm feeling all of the emotions. Everything. And that particular relationship unlocked and brought about diagnoses that I've probably had for a very long time and didn't know. Like, I just genuinely didn't know. I knew I had depression and anxiety, but I also was diagnosed with a few other things, and I'm not quite comfortable sharing them because there's a lot of stigma around them right now, but it definitely just unlocked a door for me. And it's hard when society gets its hands on something and tells you what it's supposed to look like. Again, the great glow up of being out on yachts and, being in the gym and losing 70 pounds and having a new boyfriend just like that, and, self-love and self-worth, and those things are great. It is not that easy. It is not the next day that it happens. This is months, years, especially for as much as I've pressed down and not dealt with. I've got to get to a place where I legit change my mind about what things look like. One thing that I've changed my mind about is what strength looks like. I had this mindset that, especially as a Black woman, that strength was sucking it up, just keep going, carry the world on your shoulders, don't talk about it, don't cry, don't do anything. And now I'm recognizing that strength is making it through an attempt on myself to end my life. That strength is waking up every day, and even in those hard moments, trying to just make it. There are days where just getting out of bed is trying to make it. There are days where doing all of the things is trying to make it. And each day looks different. When I'm filming this video, because some of this stuff is pre-filmed, this is one of them, because these are hard conversations. But last night was a rough night. I got 4.5 hours of sleep because my brain would not turn off. All of the should-haves, all of the could-haves, all of the I should have said this, all of the I should have opened the door the night that she came over, I should have seen the red flags, I should have known this, and even the anger and the frustration of what's going on now, which is just me healing, and the memories of the trauma when I, was coming up, and the things that I've stuffed down, and just, this is not easy. I did not lose 70 pounds. I got on Lexapro and gained 25. Not fair. Not fair. I did not go on vacations. I have been off work for a bit and am home. I'm enjoying getting back to, I don't even want to say back to myself, because that is another thing that's not talked about, is that we're going to talk about it because I'm here. There is no back. There is no back for me. Like, the person that I was before, that person is gone. And that is a part of the grieving process. and leaving an abusive relationship that no one talks about. That person is gone. I'm not going to get back to that person. I genuinely am never going to be that naive again. I'm not ever going to be a person that can say that I didn't go through a narcissistic abusive relationship. I'm never going to be a person that can say that I was not gaslit, I was not love bombed, I was not manipulated out of something that I held so dear to me that I chose celibacy for 7 years instead of being out in these streets. So there's a version of myself that I have to let go of. And not only do I have to let go of it, but my friends and family have to let go of it because I'm never going to be that person again. And that in itself is grief. And we don't talk about it. That is not talked about at all in these glow up statements, in these glow up pictures. That's not talked about. The tears, the frustration, the embarrassment, not talked about. And all of those are real emotions. And again, I can't blame all of my trauma on this young man because he's not the start of my trauma. So there's recognizing that some of these traumas have been here for a very long time. So I am learning to say goodbye to the person that I was. I am learning to say goodbye to mindsets that really held me captive, but in a sense also kept me safe. That's why they were there. That's what the brain's purpose is to protect the body. Like, all it wants to do is protect you. And some of those mechanisms of protection are not great, but they are still protection. And so it can get really confusing and understanding what the brain is trying to accomplish. Bear base is trying to protect you. And I feel like there was a part of ignoring the red flags that my brain was trying to protect me. And that sounds really weird, but when you walk through something that traumatic, but also that familiar and comfortable, your brain does some weird things. But it all comes back down to your brain is trying to protect you. And so there's a part of me that has to say goodbye to those protection mechanisms. I have to be able to recognize them. I have to be able to call them out. I have to be able to tell myself that that type of mechanism is no longer needed, and learn to trust myself as I'm making these decisions and listening to my gut and those kind of things. And like I said, society just has it that those things aren't part of the process. And honestly, it pisses me off. It pisses me off. I think that because of the way that society has labeled things when it comes to healing and the glow up and blah, 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 that people are really afraid to speak out because their journey doesn't look that way. And that's part of the reason that I'm talking about this, because mine doesn't look that way. Like I said, I gained 25 pounds. I'm trying to figure out what this new body looks like. I'm trying to figure out new ways. Like, my face shape has changed. So I'm trying to figure out how to do makeup for my face shape. I'm trying to figure out what clothes fit. I'm trying to figure out where I can buy clothes. Do I buy thrift? Do I buy Fashion Nova? Which I do have a Fashion Nova video up, just FYI, because I did buy some clothes from Fashion Nova. But like, just trying to figure out what's a good way for me to process. Is it journaling? Is it singing? Is it poetry? Is it, whatever it is, coloring, what movement looks like for my body, just to help self-regulate. Boxing has been a big thing in regards to my anger, because I am angry. And I feel like anger is we can't talk about anger. People are uncomfortable with anger and they're uncomfortable with sadness. Everybody's good with happiness. Everybody's good when you're okay. Everybody's good when you're smiling, but not when you're crying. People don't know how to handle that. And so, for me, one of my safe places is boxing. I absolutely love it. I did not think I would like boxing. I don't watch boxing. I don't think I've ever seen a boxing match like all the way through. I've probably caught, clips here and there, UFC clips here and there. Would have never thought. But I go in and I get to take out all of those negative thoughts and all of those should-haves and those could-haves and just all the things out on that bag. And that 30 minutes honestly has saved my life. It is the one place where I actually feel like I might beat this. Because this shit is hard. This shit is not for the weak. This shit is real life. This is dealing with 40 years of trauma, of bullshit, and learning to say goodbye to all of it. Everything that I thought I was, everything I thought I needed, everything that I thought was genuinely a part of me, learning to say goodbye to those things because they weren't. So, I feel like this is probably a good place to end the video. One, because I'm emotional. And not that I care, I am learning not to apologize for being emotional. Because it is healing for me. I'm not going to apologize for my emotions. I'm not going to apologize for cussing. I'm not going to apologize for anything I've said in this video because this is my experience. This is what I am learning. This is my process. This is my healing. This is my glow up. Yours may look different. Yours may look better. Yours may look worse. I don't know. But I do know that, again, this shit's not easy and we're taking it one day at a time. Sometimes even one moment at a time. Minute, second, nanosecond, whatever the case may be. So, I'd love to hear your comments. I'd love to hear your experiences. It may not necessarily be a narcissistic abusive relationship or, whatever the case may be. It could be something completely different. But if you're open to sharing it in the comments, I would be open to, reading it and just loving on you. I don't have to respond, because sometimes it's just nice for people to listen. They don't need to fix it. They don't have to respond. They just say, I'm here. I hear you. I'm sorry that that has happened to you. I'm sorry that that's what you're experiencing. That can go, that can save the day because that has saved my day. So, anyways, like I said, we're going to end the video here because I could probably keep going forever because this is definitely a deep conversation. So, I love you guys and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.